So yeah, welcome back to another episode of Chalk Talk.
Welcome back to another episode of Chalk Talk.
If you're new, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome. And thank you for coming back.
Thank you for coming back. Oh gosh, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thanks for anyone who has watched an episode. Thank you.
Yes.
To people who watch multiple. If you have, who knows?
We
are getting views. We are getting views, I notice.
Yeah, as long as we put out the content.
We checked. I checked when we pulled up last night. Was looking at the Dumb Money episode, and then this morning I woke up and it had like 30 more views, and I was like, oh wow.
Oh really? I haven't checked.
Yeah, it's up like 30 views, and so are like the other videos I was looking at. Like I noticed like the Tesla one was up like 15 views in just like a night, and I was like, oh, our little channel
is growing. Un poquito channel. I don't know how to say channel in Spanish. Maybe I'll put it here. The magic of editing that probably won't do.
And it'll be Spanish subtitles that won't be here either. Also,
in the future, for a watch for a long-term hold for subtitles. Anyway, today's episode
is about Apple. Ticker symbol APPL.
Apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's what they said.
But anywho, yes, exactly. Today's episode is about Apple, ticker symbol AAPL.
Yes.
With a current market cap of $2.77 trillion, the size of France.
Okay.
A 52-week high of 123.64 and a 52-week high of apparently 198.23, but I'm also seeing here on the chart that says 197.95.
Yeah.
Apple what a world we live in.
Apple chart still looking good, still carrying the S&P, still carrying the market. But I do have some news.
Yeah, there's a lot of news as usual with Apple.
I mean, Apple's releasing a lot of products, but none of my news is anything to do with their products. So just kind of let you know that. And then I'm just going to get started because I got a few here and I just want to get them out. All right, Apple shares waiver following downgrade from key bank on soft U.S. sales outlook. So Apple shares wavered gains and losses in early trading on Wednesday after key bank downgraded its rating on Apple to sector weight from overweight, anticipating soft sales growth in the U.S. They reportedly suggest that sales in the U.S. could struggle through the first quarter of the fiscal year of 2024 amid a slowdown in consumer spending. And while a demand shift in favor of premium iPhone models could raise average selling prices, it might have little impact on overall unit sales. So when I hear that, I think of like, the new iPhone 15 model, which I wouldn't say flopped. I haven't seen the numbers, but it hasn't been as impactful. And so people are like, hey, Apple, give us something new. And so maybe they're going to be under the pressure cooker for a while. I don't know.
Yes. Actually, yeah, there's a lot of interesting going on too. You're talking about iPhone sales. iPhone sales account for 50% of Apple sales.
Oh, wow.
And Apple's revenue has been declining for the last 3 quarters. So the last 9 months. And it looks like it's probably going to have a similar earnings. Their PE ratio is essentially staying the same for the last trailing 12 months, and moving forward, it's essentially the same. So they're not expecting another really great earnings coming moving forward. But yeah, some negative news that I was mentioning that kind of like what you were talking about was, I don't know if you heard that last month, China, the government of China, beginning of this September, so about a month ago at the time of this recording, banned its government employees, government workers from the use of iPhones, so they can't use iPhone. And with that news, we saw the stock drop 4% in its market cap, which represents about roughly a $200 billion splash.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's like market retaliation because Apple had to like shut down some of its factories in China, or like there was craziness going on with that, or because they're like, Apple's like, all right, we're gonna take our money out, and then China's like, all right, well, we're gonna not endorse you anymore. Maybe it's one of those
And
things, or maybe it's
yeah,
like a breach of confidentiality because China's locking down on info coming in and info coming out, going out. So
yeah,
who
and
knows?
10% of Apple's business is China, and their economy is like, well, like most economies aren't right now aren't doing so well, but yeah, China's really struggling right now, and 10% of their business is in China.
Yeah. Well, Apple is struggling just a little bit.
A little bit. It's
After,
it's a
uh-huh. Go
it's a
ahead.
growth stock without not a lot of growth going on right
Right
now.
now, right now.
It,
And
it's just
it's the market, it's the economy.
it's so
That's all
big.
I'm
People
saying.
aren't very excited, and people aren't very excited about iPhones anymore. I mean, what is this iPhone 15? But let's be real here. This is what, like the 22nd iPhone that's been released.
Yeah,
You
I
can
don't want to
count
get
every
into their
single.
other products. They are creating other products, which are things that are kind of interesting, but I
Uh-huh.
don't think are good for the wider the consumer market. But so I don't want to really get into that because there's other stuff I want to mention. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're really like Apple's kind of getting some backlash about like a lack of innovation with their phones. So whatever they come out with next has to
Yeah.
be a little
I
bit more
think.
impressive than the iPhone 15
Yeah.
because they just
I
released
also
the
think.
14.
Yeah, it was available. It's available since I think September 22nd. It became available. Not really sure what's going on in my house. There's a lot of noise outside. But yeah, beginning September 22nd, the iPhone 15 was available. And yeah, this is like the first time it's really happened where like usually iPhone releases and then iPhone numbers, like the numbers after they come out, like pre-sale and post-sales, usually do good for Apple stock, but not this time. Apple 15, like I said, since the debut of the stock at the end of September and moving into like the beginning of this month of October, they were down 4%. It's kind of weird. Uh, like I said, I guess it's just not really exciting the market much with iPhone releases. And like I said, with iPhone sales being down the last 3 quarters,
Mm-hmm.
and 50% of iPhone sales are their net income. I don't know. I don't know from what I've been hearing and from what I've been reading and noticing. I don't know. I feel like eventually, I mean, Apple's going to keep their products, in my opinion, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Apple is slowly transitioning into a more of a service-based company.
Yeah, because they came out with all that fintech earlier in the year, right?
Yeah, and now they have Apple TV, so
Yeah,
I just
that
feel like
too.
they're going to
I
be.
have something Apple TV. Speaking of Apple TV, I guess I'll jump around the timeline a little bit, but they just came out. It says reportedly Apple is seeking Formula One streaming rights. Apple is reportedly interested in earning the broadcasting rights for Formula One racing, according to Business F1 Yahoo's Finance. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I didn't even. How many people watch Formula One? So it's like you're gonna
A
watch
lot.
movies on Apple TV and TV shows, but also live sports programming.
Yes.
Specifically, they're trying to get Formula One, and I didn't know it
Uh-huh.
had a big market.
Oh yeah, Formula One's huge. I think Apple's next move, actually, I saw that article. I don't think they're going to stop there. They also have the streaming rights for MLS. Like you can buy the packages
Mm-hmm.
and season. You can start like from the whole season. They also sell half season packages too. I don't think they're going to stop there. I think they're going to stay similar into like the international market with like F1 and soccer, MLS, of course, it's not very international if you're looking from an American standpoint, but it's also international speaking because it's like usually a very popular sport amongst, well, within the United States, usually more with like people from other countries and stuff. And but I think they're going to also end up adding things like golf, tennis, and then maybe potentially golf.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if they struck a deal with the UFC maybe somehow. Um, but yeah, I think they're going to end up moving more service based, which will help them with their net income numbers struggling from the iPhone because on top of making movies now, with their Apple, and now they're getting probably like all these things like you're saying, like we're talking about. with like the MLS and F1, I think they're gonna really flip. One of the things that investors are looking at is, like I said, their growth stock with not a lot of growth, three
I
quarters of
think you remember our last
negative income.
video, not our last video,
Hmm.
our last Netflix video, and I
Hmm.
said that I think they're Netflix number one competitor. I still stand that. I think they're the only two that's really got
Yeah,
any what's the expression, lift in the game, like, so
yeah,
pull.
like they have a lot of influence, pull and influence. Yeah, Apple and Netflix. I mean, Amazon, they have Amazon TV, but
No,
I really
no,
don't think Amazon is as popular as Netflix. And then I feel like Apple
no,
has
and
more
it's
pull
redundant
than
because
Amazon.
my sister was trying to watch American Gods, so you have to have a Prime streaming membership to watch American Gods. So she thought she could use her
Mhm.
regular Prime membership, and you can't. You had to apply for. You had to get the video Prime Video membership, and then on top of that, when she went to go watch it, they're like, "You still can't watch this. You have to subscribe to Stars
Yes.
on Prime." So she's like, "I need like triple subscriptions. I need double subscriptions to just watch one show." Like, no thanks. So
Mhm.
I really think that I personally don't,
Yeah.
not just based off of that alone, but I don't personally consider Amazon a legitimate threat to either Apple TV or Netflix.
I mean, who knows? It's Amazon,
They could do
but
something, but what they're doing right now, I don't think they're
yeah.
a terrible threat.
But
But I
yeah.
have some other news if you're interested.
Hmm.
Apple
What's
CEO Tim
involving?
Cook sells shares valued at 88 million. Um,
Okay. I think just some salary.
yeah, so in regulatory filing, Cook reportedly sold 511,000 shares between $171 and $173 each for a total of 87.8 million. And he still holds 3.28 million shares. In August 2021, Cook sold about 4.6 million shares valued at more than 750 million. And another one said that it was 41 million after taxes. It is his biggest share sell in 2 years. A U.S. securities filing showed. So I'm just like, first of all, that's hilarious. 80, what, 8 million to 41 million after taxes. So thank you, government. And then second of all, I think that's kind of reflective. He's like, all right, it's time to cash out now for downgrading and then get back in, maybe. I don't know if he gets back in.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just some money for him.
and then
40 million for 2 years. I mean, of course, he's getting paid a salary, but he also gets paid in stock.
yeah.
But so I guess it's like a way for him. I mean, he still holds 320, what do you say, 3.25 million more shares.
Uh sorry, 1 second. Yeah, 3.28 million shares.
So exactly 3.28 million times his current share price of roughly $177.
It's a
So
small sell-off for him.
yeah,
It's a small sell-off
yeah,
for him.
exactly. He holds another almost $500 million worth of stock.
Yeah. So then you remember we were talking about the antitrust laws issues with Google,
Hmm. Hmm.
and the companies are being scrutinized under that whole lawsuit for all the people who like decided to employ Google. So I'm guessing
Hmm.
I saw a lot of articles for Apple talking about, oh, well, we try to do this. And, I don't know if they're trying to spread a good light, because I guess you
Hmm.
can get a bad rep for that. But here it goes. Apple rejected opportunities to buy Microsoft's Bing, integrate with DuckDuckGo. So basically, these are just old articles saying that, like, at one point, well, let me just read it. Since 2017, Apple has turned down multiple opportunities to chip away at Google's search engine dominance, including a chance to purchase Microsoft's Bing and to make the privacy focused DuckDuckGo a dealer for users of its Safari private browsing mode. Apple insiders ultimately came up with four options for Cook: buy Bing outright, invest in Bing, and take an ownership share of the search engine, collaborate with Microsoft on shared search index that both companies could use, or do nothing and continue with the Google partnership. And so we know what he decided if he gets that ultimate decision. Apple considered Bing search engine a multi-billion-dollar investment in joint venture in 2018. So they also thought about it. I
Yeah.
don't know how long they thought about it, because according to the antitrust, it was like Google was like, hey, but here's some consideration money,
Uh-huh.
That's the way
I
they're
think,
making it seem. It just sounds like business to me, but maybe I'm into too many mob movies, so it all kind of blends together. But
yeah, I think Apple is, in my opinion, going to end up taking more of the entertainment and streaming industry
okay.
ra rather than like search. I mean, they're going to dabble in it, but of course, because it's Apple and they're a tech company and they're massive and they're the biggest company in the world.
I don't see the point for them to take a competitor who's not doing as well as Google. But maybe the argument is that Bing didn't do as well because Apple didn't choose them over Google. But I don't see how that matters
Yeah.
in the long run.
Okay. I'm short-term bearish on the stock price, but overall I'm bullish as hell on Apple
I mean, you
for a
have to
few
be.
for a few reasons though. For a very specific few reasons. Overall, I mean, yeah, what are you buying Apple for? Are you buying it for the great return? Or what are you
No,
buying Apple for?
yes, you're not
I
buying
buy
Apple products,
Apple.
you're buying their stock because they're literally the carrier of the market. So,
No, I know. I'm talking about when you buy Apple stock, what are you buying it for?
okay.
There are multiple reasons that you could be buying Apple stock. For me, I buy it for a couple of reasons. For me personally, getting into talking about the stock.
Wait, I'm not done.
Just
I still have some other ones before you get in. All right, so South Korea plans to fine Google and Apple for breaching mobile payments, so that could hurt Google, right? I mean Apple. South Korea's
Mhm.
telecom regulator plans to fine Alphabet, Google, and Apple a total of 51 million for allegedly abusing their market dominance and breaching country's mobile payment regulations. The Korean Communications Commission said on Friday that the U.S. tech giant had forced app developers to use their in-app payment methods rather than external competitors' payment methods. Google and Apple
Uh-huh.
were also found to have unfairly delayed app reviews to enforce the malpractice. So if we're talking about Apple versus, I mean, if we're talking about Microsoft versus Google and what Apple was doing, it's like I said, mob mentality. Apple knew what they were doing. It wasn't a long term, like, let me think this over. Not in my mind. I don't see it playing out that way. So,
Mhm.
and then, oh, and security news, which is like a big deal for Apple phone users specifically, which could affect phone prices, is that Apple's encryption is under attack by a mysterious group, which is a big deal because Apple's known for their security on their phones. Like they remember that lawsuit where it's like the government was trying to get information from Apple users' phones, and they were like, no, you can't take the information, you can't use that to hold against them in law or whatever. So Apple has sent a letter responding to demands from an anti-child exploitation group called Heat Initiative. And I'm like, so how easy is it to hack Google's encryption and all that
Apple.
stuff? Yeah, like how easy is it to hack Apple? Because that's a random, in my opinion, a random group. I mean, maybe they're impassioned about the cause and they just happen to have the skills in that specific group. Or
Mhm.
is Apple, kind of cutting corners somewhere, because we're seeing them cut corners with their software and their hardware, aka their phones. So maybe there's more we don't know going on behind the scenes and they're just masking it. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to consider there in terms of Apple profitability and marketability to consumers if they're kind of falling off the edge. But I could be just grabbing, sticks in the what's the expression? I'm never good with expressions, but they're grabbing in the dark for like anything and causing problems from themselves. That's what it kind of
Mhm.
seems like.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Long term, just looking at the charts for Apple, hey, I'm kind of bullish, but I'm also kind of like, what are you guys doing as a company? Like, are you making ethical decisions? Does the overall business world care about that? And what about the products that you're releasing? It would have to go to service because it seems like they're cutting corners with a lot of their software and their hardware. Well, that's the kind of
Yeah.
vibe that's being put out in the news.
Yeah. Well, what
I don't know.
Apple iPhone remains in over just over, I don't know the exact number, of course, but just over 2 billion hands.
It's quite remarkable. It's kind of like if you poke the bear, like will the bear swipe at you? Will you still continue to poke the bear even if it swipes at you? Because you just I don't know. I feel like that's a horrible metaphor. Never mind.
Mhm.
But you get what I'm saying?
So,
Like
yeah.
the Apple makes money for the government, but Apple is also being a little questionable lately. But if everybody uses Apple, are we gonna say something? Are people gonna say something about it?
Probably even if they did, it would only be a thing for so long either way.
You mean because of like short attention span type deal, or they just don't want to have like
Yeah.
convenience
I mean,
hinder?
like both. I mean, look at how many negative articles have come out about other companies that are still not only exist but thriving and still like how many times have people been like McDonald's food is horrible for you. Look at they're doing and how their food and unhealthy and they're slaughtering chicks and this
Yeah.
is fake man food. What do people do? They still spend billions of dollars a year on McDonald's food.
Right. I mean, even like Korea finding Google and Apple a total of 51 million. Even if you were to split that in half, that's like maybe
Some change.
it's chump change compared to what they're making and what they're worth. So really,
It's
like
a day
you're
of
pissing off,
operating fees.
you're pissing off these countries. You're pissing off Brazil. You're pissing off Korea, South Korea. You're upsetting all these people, all these countries. But really, they're like, we still make money from you. But hey, you know, I don't know. Antitrust. Oh, don't piss off Apple too much. You gotta give them some news to say that like we did consider Microsoft. We weren't colluding. We weren't trying to do anything, suspect. But we did choose them anyway, just business. And I'm just like, I've seen some this is American. I've seen some mob movies that give the same vibe. I see you, Apple. I see you.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
I don't know.
but
What do you got? What do you got on the charts? I mean, other than that, the
nothing really.
charts phenomenal. What can you say? It's always a green day. It's a sunny day in
It's
Apple.
always a green day, minus the negative 3 quarters of you know sales.
Even even
Um,
even when Apple is bearish, it's still bullish because the charts
but
don't
well,
lie. The charts do not lie.
yeah, but yeah. There's a lot of some stuff I could talk about, but
Please share.
so yeah. Other than talking about transitioning, I think into a more of a service-based industry, which they definitely have the money to. Um, One of the most interesting and attractive things that Apple has going for it is a $100 billion positive cash flow, free cash in the last 12 months. One of the things they were able to use to get for F1 rights. So now,
Mm.
when you think about it, we have two bullish things. They already have the
Well, we don't
MLS
know if they have it. It
right
didn't say that they had it. They said that they're trying to get it. I just want to
trying. Come on,
clarify that. Yeah. They're advocating to get it, but
yeah.
it doesn't say that they have it. It's just the interest.
When is that from?
October 6th.
Okay, so 2 days ago,
Mm-hmm.
October 6th. So we'll do an update if they get it. So this is 2 days ago at the time of this recording, and they already have MLS rights. MLS is already growing. They have 100 billion in free cash flow. They pay a dividend, which I think is kind of stupid, to be honest, with a company like Apple.
Okay.
So because, well, for a couple of reasons. I mean, 24 cents, it's something. Warren Buffett makes a crap ton of money. I think
Hmm.
the guy makes like $100 million a year just on dividends, holding all the Apple stock he has. But
You said
Apple,
24 cents?
yeah, it's 24 cents a share, which is
Are
up,
you sure?
I believe, yeah, it's up like 10%. It
I don't
is,
know.
let me
Maybe I'm
check.
reading the wrong thing. I have here 96 cents at 0.54%.
Ah, okay, so they have updated even since. Where are you looking at? And look, here it says 96, 0.54%.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, I think they should cut the dividend, honestly.
Really?
And temporarily, I think they should. I think they should cut the dividend and do two things. I think they need to cut off. They don't have much. They have some debt. I think they should pay off some of their debt, and then they should add to their already existing um, share buyback program, which is better than uh, 90 whatever, even if it is 96 cents. I mean, you're getting 96 cents per share on $177 stock.
Yeah, it's quite little, but I don't know. They're
I think they
trying,
should cut the dividend because they have a $90 billion stock buyback program over the
Mhm.
next 10 years. So they could buy back, I don't even know what that is. What's what's 10 divided by 90?
Mhm.
What would that be per year?
Mhm.
8.8 billion something.
I don't know. I mean, they're trying to do other things. I think if they cut a dividend, that might have a psychological aspect that Apple's not really going for, because it's some weird comfort in people knowing that you can get a dividend payout from Apple. It's like it's a good performing stock, and even if the dividend payout is little, at least they offer one. And so for a lot of people, that's important, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying get rid of it forever. I'm just saying get rid of it temporarily, pay off some more of your debt, and then maybe add to your share buyback program. And then once you
Maybe
paid off more of your debt, you can pay a better dividend.
maybe they should pull a PayPal and create a crypto. I wouldn't be shocked because they look like they're trying a little bit of everything.
Yeah. But like, yeah, so as I was saying, I don't know, like they have a couple, I mean, outside of their little dividend, they have $100 billion in free cash flow and they have a $90 billion stock buyback program. So that means if you notice on the chart, anytime this thing dips really heavy, it pops right back. I mean, and that's for a couple of reasons. A, they're buying back their own shares, and B, people are buying the dip on it. Um, Warren Buffett, his biggest holding in his portfolio, it used to be Coca-Cola back in the day, but
Mm-hmm.
now but that's his second biggest holding now. Now it's by leaps and bounds. It's Apple. It's 50% of his, roughly 50% of his portfolio, which is currently $160 billion value
Mm-hmm.
currently at its current price. And Warren Buffett, I guess, meets a lot with Tim Cook,
I'm sure they do.
the CEO
If you have a
of
good, little fistful of the company in your grasp, you guys are going to be meeting.
Mhm. And yeah, so Warren Buffett's been buying Apple for a while. And I was looking at the chart. I don't know if you noticed, but like it has really, really strong support around 135. So for me personally, that would actually be my buy zone, not financial advice. With a 52-week low of 123.64. So even if it hit its 52-week low, you wouldn't be down much from 135 buy zone,
What are you
which
talking?
ironically
Uh-huh.
which ironically is Warren Buffett's buy zone is
Really?
135. Yeah.
So,
But he's
so
up over 300% on his position in Apple. So his average is very low. Like very,
I
very,
don't
very
know
low.
if I see it going that low anytime soon. Just I think it's possible, But
I
that is,
mean, I'm not
like I
saying
said before, I
anytime
think it's an
soon.
ambitious number to be at.
Uh, I mean, I'm
That's a
not
strong
saying it's going to
support.
go
That's a
there
strong support, but
in the next week, but let's see. The last time Apple was $140 was when? Let's see, it's $143 here in March.
yeah, I see it.
So 5 months ago, it was
January,
$143.
February,
If you go
March.
back, if you go back to February, it was 140. And then if you go back to the beginning of the year, in January, it was trading at 135. So
Yeah.
9 months ago, it was at 135. And what March is what? May, June, July, August, September. About 6 months ago, it was trading around 140, 145, 6 months ago.
I think that if those are the numbers, then I'm interested to see what the actual market bottom will be.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
I'm thinking it's not going to be that bad, but maybe it's going to be worse than what I think it will be.
yeah, I mean, if Apple has a bad day, the market has a bad day. And I mean, not like I said, Apple hasn't had a positive brain fart here. Last 3 quarters have been declining in revenue. But I mean, they it's Apple. People buy it for its staying power. They buy it for the brand. They buy it because it's the biggest company in the world. They buy it because it has $100 billion in free cash flow. Now
Yeah.
it has MLS rights. MLS is growing. If it gets F1, I think it's a matter of time before you see something like it has streaming rights for tennis and or like PGA golf tour. I think Apple's heading in that direction and they're going to add more services to Apple TV, more streaming rights of sports and other maybe hobbies. And I think, yeah, Apple's going to take a lot of that entertainment industry and is going to find other routes down. It's going to continue, obviously, in my opinion. I think with its product line, of course, that's not going anywhere. It still makes Apple money.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like
but
if
I
I
think,
see Apple dip into crypto, then we know that they're really trying to pull out all the stops. Because that would be
mhm.
an endeavor.
One
But
of the things I could see
mhm.
Apple doing which it's in a matter of time, in my opinion, because it's not growing. It's a growth stock right now. I mean, it, it's gonna peak for a while. I mean, $2.77 trillion. I mean, how much more could you grow? I mean, there's always room for growth. So I think what Apple is gonna end up doing is gonna end up moving into like two other things other than mentioning into like the more of the service and streaming aspect. I think also they're going to move into like an emerging market, China not being so good. So I think they're going to end up turning their attention to another big market. And in my opinion, if you ask me, I'm not an expert, but I would shock me if they went into heavy into India.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like the automobile market because I do see that shift happening. They're investing more into automobile software and, Apple
Hmm.
Music and stuff. But
For EV.
I do see maybe you mean for production.
Yeah, like production wise, and I mean Apple is an emerging market. I mean if you have a middle growing class, which again I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty sure India has a growing middle class. They are an emerging market. If the government can get their shit straightened up, maybe more companies like Tesla and Apple will go in. I mean Tesla and Apple are already into China, and we know China is not like
I think there's some sort
China.
of like
Uh,
political
we're
subcontext with Tesla and Apple pulling out of China if that were to happen. So I feel like that might be a little bit more of like a tricky landscape, but I think India would
yeah.
be it could be a good move. I don't know much about the political landscape of India, though I do follow it, occasionally because a lot is going on there.
But yeah, that's what I see Apple's growth going into is service-based, more entertainment, streaming-based services, and maybe pivoting, well, not pivoting, but moving more into like the emerging markets. Maybe they're gonna go into more like Latin America, India. India's heavy, wouldn't shock me like if they moved into like Mexico or Brazil or maybe more.
I see
But
Mexico, Brazil, India as higher probabilities.
Yeah. For like if we're talking about more like actual physical
Yeah,
locations,
like
and then yeah, if we're
manufacturing and
into
stuff like that.
yeah, plus all of those countries are growing middle classes, and where you have growing middle classes, you have growing consumers, people with money they want to spend. Oh, cool. I spent all my money on cool. All my bills are paid off now. You have more middle classes growing in these emerging markets, so they have more money to spend on things like cool things like Apple Watches and iPhones. And so if they can cut the prices and make them more readily available, because Apple iPhones in generally, well, most like other electronics are generally 20 to upwards of 100% more expensive in other countries. So I think it's a matter of time until you see Apple in Brazil, India, Mexico, and making things cheaper and more affordable, more readily available, and moving in and getting things like F1 and having already MLS.
Yeah.
And if we're talking numbers wise, we didn't really go much into Apple stock numbers, but I mean, they have a stock buyback program. They have a small dividend. Some of their negative numbers, but more positive is they're cash flow heavy. They have a stock buyback program. Anytime that thing dips, Apple has the potential to buy back $8 to $9 billion for the next decade. They're not going anywhere. They have staying power. They're the biggest company in the world. But are they a buy for me at 177? Personally, no.
No,
I'm
no,
waiting for
no.
I'm waiting for minimum.
I
I'm
agree.
waiting minute. I'll think about it around 155. I'll
Yes.
buy at 130. I'll
Yeah.
remortgage a house that I own at
Your
100.
mortgage house.
Yeah, I'll remortgage and take a loan out. Well, not at the current interest rates. At a better interest rate, I would take out a small loan at $100, but the world would probably be burning and catching on fire, and World War III would
Oh
be
my
here, and
gosh.
COVID 2.0, the
So
remix
anyway,
would
we're
be
out of
here.
time.
Oh, we can't say that on YouTube. Beep.
We're out of
Um,
time.
we're out of
Literally.
time. All right. So thanks for tuning in to another episode. There'll be some edits in here, more than
Okay.
usual. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you don't, that's okay too. Thanks for your time. Stay healthy, stay safe. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a great night. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I have my mic this time.
Wow, a lot of stocks hit their 52-week high in July, like Google and Apple.
July was a good month.
July, June and July, I noticed stocks rip a lot. And January too. They're either like whoop in January or like boom. There's no in between. But anyways,
Okay.
like AMC stock ripped in January, but this past January was Tesla was $101. Like its lowest ever. And then in January of 2021, that's when AMC ran like 2,500%.
Mm.
Oh, anywho,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
we aren't talking about neither of those stocks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So